enforce the International Criminal Court's decision against Netanyahu and Gallant?
I mean, this is the fact to be part of a convention conducts this country to be liable to enforce all decisions of the court. So any country which is not only signatory but which has ratified this convention has to comply with this obligation to enforce these decisions. So we have seen that countries like UK, Ireland, Belgium, France, Italy, and a lot of countries, they have confirmed that they will comply with this obligation and they will enforce it. So if Netanyahu and Gallant will come to their territories or will fly over the country, they can arrest them and remit them to the international court, the International Criminal Court.
Are we having here a kind of historical incidents or precedents that where nations have obstructed the ICC ruling, and what were the consequences?
Well, we have seen that Mongolia, for instance, they did not enforce the arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin, and they were put under very heavy pressure because Mongolia is between Russia and China, and they are obliged to not comply with it despite their obligations. So they are breaching their obligations, and this means that their signature is not reliable. This is the matter. The country will lose credibility in the international arena, because when they sign an obligation, they have to, when they have signed a convention, they have to oblige to comply with the obligation. But it happens. But we can see in South Africa, for instance, they want Vladimir Putin to arrest him, and Brazil did the same. And they have an internal system which can force the government, internal judicial system which can force the government to comply. And the civil society in South Africa, they have warned the president of South Africa that if he will not comply, they will go to the local courts and they will issue by these courts orders to oblige the government to comply. So this is why Ramaphosa has warned Vladimir Putin that he will be under the obligation to comply. It's the same thing in Brazil, and it's very clear that in EU countries the governments will not be able to not comply. We have seen now Orban of Hungary, who said that he will not comply, but everybody knows what is going on in Hungary, so this is an exception.
Mm-hmm. From your point of view, or speaking about the law enforcement, now from your point of view, how can the international law be enforced or leveraged to be enforced and to enforce the ICC decisions among member states, particularly when a state refuses to comply with this arrest warrant?
Well, first of all, the state who is part of the Rome Convention, of the ICC Convention, must comply, and generally they comply. We have these two exceptions, Mongolia and Hungary. So it's an exception. But the major thing, the most important thing, is that most countries, they have committed themselves to comply with it. So this is the most important thing. Now, in fact, in practical terms, Vladimir Putin cannot oppose the immunity, and this is very important. a chief of state of a government has an international immunity when he travels or for his acts. Here we see that and this is a turning point. It's a major turning point that the immunity will not play, and Netanyahu and Gallant will not be protected by immunity. So these decisions mean that the immunity is now cancelled, and this is important. And consequently, in his travels, he is of course advised to be very careful. He will not travel as before. So this is something which is impeaching him or is preventing him from traveling as freely as before. So this has an effect. This effect is a major effect.
Thank you so much, Dr. Majid Boudin, for sharing your valuable, definitely, insights and analysis here